Yo. Yo. Hello. What's up, everyone? Welcome, hello there. Welcome to the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys. I'm your host, Azrael, and you. Hello.
Oh, hello there. Sorry, we removed ourselves from the stage. That was some trick. Did you hear any of our introduction, or were we out of commission?
Yeah, no, you guys were out of commission.
All right. Well, in that case, tell you what, let's go through that again. Action replay, folks. We gotta have that. That's dreadful. Right then, action replay. Here we go. The 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live. It's Azrael speaks to Hero DarkyDark. Art, comics, movies, games, and toys. Looks like we had a technical hitch there. Art threads into comics, comics thread into movies. Movies are big business now with Marvel and DC. James Gunn and all that lot was the last one we saw. Superman. You either like it or you don't. You either like James Gunn or you don't. 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, London, UK. It's Sunday, the 14th of September, 7 p.m. And Relentlessly Bullied Hero is the book we're going to be chatting about with Hero DarkyDark. And, well, here's our next thing. Host introduction, which somehow removed ourselves from the stage. We've not done that trick before. It's a special gift we have. Host introduction. Hello there. Welcome to the 5 Pillars of Storytelling Live, where we talk art, comics, movies, games, and toys. I'm your host, Azrael, and the secret identity of moi, is Kyle Prometheus, Clark Kent, Superman, Batman, Bruce Wayne, only in our dreams, eh? So yeah, we are storyteller ourselves, artists and promote indie creators. Indie comics and indie comic community is something we're trying to do our best to grow. We're at 4,893 followers, or creative leaders, as we like to call them, on X, 158 on YouTube. Our style is universal. We can be watched by creative families, creative adults, and the creative younglings. Our motto is to listen, to learn, and to share. Inspiring quote, comics are an international language. They can cross boundaries and generations. Comics are bridged in all cultures. Osamu Tezuka, legend. Manga, very popular. Now then, let's do a quick introduction for our guest, Hero DarkyDark. Bit of pros for him, Hero DarkyDark at Hero DarkyDark on X. Relentlessly Bullied Hero is available on Kickstarter, crowdfunding platform. The campaign is over, but we think you can still get it. Hero DarkyDark can tell us about that in a moment. So welcome to Hero DarkyDark. Hello there.
Hey, welcome everyone. Hero DarkyDark here, the hero you don't need but deserve. And yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, sir. We missed you last time around. You were at a convention. How did that convention go? Did you sell any books?
Oh yeah, no, I sold a bunch of books. It was nice meeting new people, some returning, some new, and then just chatting anime and then just selling my book to them. So it was a great experience all around.
It's great, isn't it? Press in the flesh, real customers, getting returning customers and building that audience, that tribe with new customers as well. And manga is like a tsunami right now. It's flooding France and the USA in a good tidal wave kind of thing, helping us appreciate a different point of view in terms of comic book storytelling, where the moment and a priority of enjoying the moment and enjoying the journey as opposed to just getting there. So the emphasis is slightly different and nuanced in the gentle moment or gentle moments of time. Now then, the big 5 questions. Are you ready for it, DarkyDark?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it. Right, the first question is, who is Hero DarkyDark? Tell us about your storytelling influences, your comic journey, movies, and music, please.
Yeah, so basically I guess on average I'm just your average guy. I grew up watching shows like the Batman animated series, the Superman animated series, Justice League Unlimited, those kind of such. But also a decent amount of anime like Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach, that kind of such. So yeah, I have a very mixed background of media that was consumed at a long age. And of course, as you get older and you're able to get to say start consuming or start hunting better for more and more media, that kind of just grew. So that's basically where the basis of most of my inspiration comes from, as it's those always like the stories and stuff that I enjoyed. And like many things, as you functionally grow up, sometimes you see a lack of those things that you enjoy being sold in current media. And while you could always just beg endlessly, hoping, oh, studio, please make this, make that, do this, blah blah blah. Well, I mean, eventually, kind of just had to accept that sometimes no one else except maybe you can provide you the story you want to read. So yeah, I just started doing my own stories more recently, as nowadays being an indie creator is more accessible than it ever was. Especially if you're just gonna self-publish, because all you gotta do is just find an artist, find a printer, and then from there you basically got all you need. Everything else is something you yourself as a writer can cover. I mean, it may not be the best of it, but like everything's in a journey. You gotta work on it, you gotta improve, you gotta do your research, but it is possible. So that kind of where my influence come from. Uh, and I guess when it comes to movies, it was more like a casual action type of guy. Most of the time I kind of prefer action movies, as I always find them more exciting and everything. And then when it comes to music, it's honestly I find myself enjoy just about any type of music. It kind of just depends on how it's done and what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah. Yes, the mood of the moment and that ever-growing creative storytelling journey. Yeah, being open to new things, and
Yeah, of course.
every foot that we take on that journey, every step leads us to growth in a creative way for us as a human being, but also as a creator, and in terms of our storytelling, as you know, as a comic book, as a manga creator. Now, what does Hero DarkyDark create? You perhaps can give us your elevator pitch. If Azrael was there in front of you, he flew over the Atlantic to a convention table and gently set his feet upon in front of you, what would you tell him about your book, The Relentlessly Bullied Hero? I think the latest one was issue 3, but you, by all means, give us the pitch for 1 to 3.
Yeah, so oh, Siri. Something just got caught in my throat. Anyways, so Relentlessly 3 is about a young hero who got trapped in a bonding deal with a villain, as now he can't get rid of her no matter what he tries to do. So as he's trying to make his way through the heroing world, unfortunately the world is worse off as it ever was, as recently one of the top heroes died. So society is kind of going through a bit of a decay right now. So with seemingly the whole world stacking odds against them, it's a fun story to see how he'll be able to match up to it.
I see. Tell you what, who's your artist on the front cover?
That would be Jose Debu. Great guy. I met him online. You know, thankfully I'm a little bit stubborn when it comes to art style, as you know, I grew up reading manga, so I really want that manga feel when I work on stuff. So when I was searching around, you know, there's always people going around, you know, offering their page rates and such, you know, in the indie spiel. But you know, of course, I was searching for manga, so I was looking for that kind of style. And while
Yeah.
there were a lot of people saying they do indie manga, if I'm being honest, a lot of it was kind of just Western comics, except black and white. So you know, I was a little bit picky since I do really like I guess they say the Vimeo manga. So I was just like, I'm not stopping until I get something that's really close to what I want. And you know, paid off as I eventually found them, and here we are today.
Something
I'm happy with the results.
You want something a bit more close to the source in terms of Japanese manga, that kind of you capture the vibe and flavor of it more, rather than it just merely being black and white.
Yeah, you know, one of those things where it's like it's like a burger. As an American, I know that's funny, but you know, it's like a burger. You know, it's like if you're getting a burger, you kind of want it to be done right. Like, yeah, you get that, especially if you're not in America, you can't get it 100% all the time because of, you know, standards or whatever. But generally speaking, regardless, you still want to at least get close to it. It's like, okay, you can't have all this other stuff, but we can at least get the beef and cheeseburger, the beef and the cheese there. If you can't get that right, why even try?
Yes, indeed. If you can't have what you want, why bother at all? I think that's what it is in life. We want what we want, and why settle for less? And it looks like you're not settling for less. You want the flavor of that vision that's in your creative dream. That's what people want. They want authenticity, and it starts off with us looking in the mirror and being honest with ourselves, you know, about what we want rather than what maybe somebody else wants.
Yeah, and plus it's not like manga have a specific standard or like full style where everything have to look like. No, of course, even about like the same genre of manga, there's a bunch of different styles and everything. You just, regardless, there's still that one, I guess you could say, feeling or look to it that no matter how much the style changes or look different, you can still kind of just look at an instant and be like, oh yeah, that's a manga. That kind of thing.
Yes. How about we show the trailer and give people a little flavor what you're talking about? Yeah, what you've been hinting about. What do you think?
Oh yeah. So go for it.
Let's go for it. Let's have a wee look. We'll press play here. Once is not enough. We've got to see that again. We've got to see that again. That's too good. Well, we'd like to say to you that's how it's done. We like
Yeah,
that very much. We like that very much. It's
both sweet and to the point.
yeah, short but sweet, but to the point, and it seems to capture that manga vibe. Yeah,
Oh yeah, for
absolutely.
sure.
So, who did the trailer for you?
That one. See, I forgot the guy. It was one of those things where it's like I was just like, oh yeah, I just need like a short trailer thing so I could put like at the end of videos and such. So I just found some guy. I think it was some guy off of Five, and I was just like, oh hey, can you just put this together real quick? And like, yeah, sure.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. That's a sure thing. Manga trailer. That's got all your hooks. It just makes you think. I want that burger, man. I want extra cheese on it. I want my pickles. I want my hash browns. I'm gonna have chicken, probably Philly steak in there. Just a burger you want to put your face into. Now let's have a little look at these covers. Tell us about these three covers. Obviously, we're guessing that the one in the middle is your main cover. Tell us about the variant covers as well, which you can get from the campaign, even at this late stage.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what they are. They're basically just different covers. When I do covers, I don't like doing too many covers. As I feel like when people do like those 10 different covers for a single book stuff, you kind of
A little bit too much.
yeah, it's one of those things where it's like okay, you kind of just dilute the value of the cover to the current storyline as just gonna be okay, well. It's like, okay, well, that's just one of like 20 of them that exist. Like, is there any reason to kill? Make things kind of like, okay, well, it caused a disconnect. That's what I want to say. It caused a disconnect between the story that's contained in it versus the art, which I don't really enjoy because in manga just have one cover for this stuff. And because of that, it makes each manga cover extremely important as, well, one, that's the only one we're getting for like a decent chunk of the story. And two, with how the author gotta use that space they got to do something impactful with it. And that makes like a fun dynamic to it. So that's why I like having a small amount since, well, I mean, it's crowdfunding, cover selling crowdfunding. So yeah, I can't deny that. Plus, it helps me when it comes to using the covers as ways to appeal to different demographics. As not one shoe fits all people. So with different covers, I have a different chance how to sell the series to different people depending on what they want. Because generally speaking, my series are supposed to appeal to males, but you know not every guy's the same. Guys have different preference on what they want from a series. Some guys prefer action, some prefer girls, some just we don't want a silly old time. And so, I kind of use these covers to do that. So the main cover, for the main covers, I often just try to make it be more relevant to just what happens in the series. I find it like that's the best chance I have to put either new characters or a different scenario or such and something they'll say. Even if, let's say, one cover I decided, okay, yeah, and this one, the main character will be in this one. There's less of a stress of that because one, manga covers have done that before, but two, it's like, okay, well, even if Zero isn't in this cover, there's going to be like one or two more he definitely is in. So any fans of Zero will still be able to get a cover of it. Cover B as well, I often put a spotlight on the main duel, partly Gamora mostly as Gamora's a fan favorite. So you always got to have her there. But as I mentioned before, I don't want every cover for the whole series, at least the main cover, to just always be her, especially since she's kind of in a more reserved role, despite being the main two. But, hey, people can still get their covers of her as she does still impact the plot and such. And then cover C is the one mostly there for. At the moment, it's Zeal, but it's kind of funny because it's mostly Zeal kind of going through it. There's not a joke now that I'm on cover C is the one where Zeal, that's the main character, is always getting like his teeth kicked in because every cover C is always him in like a more struggling position. In the first one, he was actually like kind of fine. Just looked like he was okay, maybe he's in a tough position. The second issue cover C was actually him getting jumped by like 7 different people.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
now in this one, he's obviously not doing too well physically. So, now I guess it's kind of now just a joke of, or like a running gag of, yeah, cover C is most likely going through the worst thing ever.
Yeah. Well, what we like about your philosophy is ABC 123 keeps it nice and simple. Indie comic specialty is doing variations, different strokes for different folks. Yeah, people do have a variety of flavors in terms of their creative choices. We like the fact that you're catering to that, and each one has a distinct flavor. They're not all the same. They're all quite different, aren't they, in terms of color palette, and in terms of vibe, and in terms of what characters you've got on the front cover and the mood. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we think your three covers have got a lots of energy, but in different ways. Whether it's a kind of mood noir, where it's a kind of sun-kissed, happy-go-lucky energy vibe, or something more existential and perilous. So each one's got its own flavor. Yes, dynamic manga. Now, Relentlessly Bullied Hero 1 to 3, a shonen superhero manga. Our relentless hero's boldness uncovered a conspiracy lurking in the cracks of heroism left behind after the. Hang on a minute. Movie voice. Let's get that. Start that again. Relentlessly Bullied Hero 1 to 3, a shonen superhero manga. Our relentless hero's boldness uncovered a conspiracy lurking in the cracks of heroism left behind after the demise of the star hero. It's more like it. Let's get in a juicy movie premise there. Now, tell us about these preview pages. We couldn't resist putting in some of these lovely black and white pages, and we like this one with the plaits and the Princess Leia buns, one of our favorite hairstyles, which we won't go into too much on a family-friendly show. Tell us about this page, please, Hero DarkyDark.
So with these preview pages, they mostly just kind of covers I guess it's a bit of a setup for this issue, as it's a flashback to about 2 years from the current storyline. As you know, this is mostly from issue number 3, as we have 2 other patches. So this kind of builds off of that, as recently, off of what we found out in chapter 2, we found out that 2 years from the current storyline, that was around the time the top hero died, supposedly. So that's when, yeah, as you can probably tell, top hero died. A lot of villains kind of get that motivation to start. Oh, okay, he's gone. Let's start turning things up a little bit. And so, in response, a bunch of new heroes just like, oh, well, this guy inspired me. Let me go try to take over his legacy, or like, help cover up. And usually that would be a good thing, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, a bunch of new heroes who at best have like 1 or 2 years of experience, stopping petty bank robbers, going against well experienced villains that the top hero is going on. It did not end well. So, a bunch of new heroes died and it was a whole mess. So this card takes place around that time to well. It's known that that was the time that the main hero, ended up meeting with the villain who did save his life, as he was in a condition where he was almost dying, but she saved him. But in exchange, she took his heart. So, now he can't not be with her in a sense. So, this kind of takes place right. Uh, I just like right, just about right after, she found him. So it's like, okay, he's getting his body put back together and everything. And so they kind of just establishing, kind of what's happening, her saying, oh yeah, I managed to put his arm back on and everything, but he might have some issue with his body later on. It kind of just depends.
That's
And then
fine.
kind of just building up and showing off how Gamora, the good villain and such, kind of showing off her mindset when she was younger and that kind of stuff.
Tell you what, that spine is going to take a bit of careful reparation. Lots of bandages for his spine, I think. Now, what about this next page here? We like the way we've got the big eyes, the eyebrows, and the mouth. That seems to us to capture the spirit of manga. The artist is certainly got that nailed down, and we like the grey tones as well. Give us a little bit of softness between the black and the white, but we like the fact that the black has good, strong, solid anchors, but it's quite graceful that as well. The line work's quite graceful. Tell us about the second page, please, sir.
Yeah, so this one just building off of the last one. The take place just about a little bit right after as this other villain that she hired to help put back Zero. So it's like so it's kind of just wondering, as obviously she's one who performed surgery on him, so she got to have a better examination of his body. So so it's kind of just poking, plotting, being a nosy little jerk. Kind of going like, okay, I won't ask where you get the new arm from, but hey, he doesn't have a heart. What's up there? And you know, as some people do, it's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, stay on my business. And they're villains, so they kind of always get like the 411 of, okay, yeah, some villains are secretive, some people are shady, they don't want to tell. It's like, okay, whatever, kind of thing. So of course it's like, okay, whatever. I got my own stuff to do anyways. As mentioned, with the top people dying, it's basically the villains going, oh, this is my chance to do some stuff. So she was like, okay, well, I gotta go do my own stuff as well. And Gamora just like, okay, yeah, of course these guys are, the second they have a chance to do something, they just wasting it being animals and such. So that kind of just builds off of it.
I see. Right, and well, there's no getting away from the artwork. The artwork, particularly on this third page, we love this big, over half-page panel. Looking like she's a little bit ruthless here. Not much of a kind of caring heart. Tell us more about this lady character here.
Yeah, as mentioned before, this is in the past, 2 years from the current storyline. So this is when they just meet each other. So it's kind of a fun way to see how Gamora and her attitude is towards back then compared to how she kind of treat him now, as he seems more, I guess you could say, friendly or comforting towards them. So it's kind of like an interesting thing to see that. Oh, okay, well, she is kind of has a bit of a ruthlessness to her, as yeah, it is. It has been mentioned between like the last two chapters that she have done some bad stuff, but that was in the past, so we didn't directly see it. But this is one of those things where it does so that, oh, okay, no, she was a little bit crueler when she was younger, and so it kind of sold that off as she was like, okay, yeah, if Zero isn't, because this was why I had to do the surgery, and so like, oh yeah, he might have some spine issues and he might not be able to walk, and her being as he is this young, she was just like, okay, well, if he won't be able to walk again, I'll just kill him if he actually can't recover. So
Bit cold-hearted, but she warms up to him later on as she gets to know him.
yep.
Well, at least there's a bit of redemption and salvation to her soul of yeah, as a character. Tell us about this one. Like the background detail, and tell us more. It's got a different dynamic.
So for that one, that's now we just flash forward to present time. So about 2 years after that scene we just saw, and just kind of Gamora just flying over the city, and she's kind of just talking out loud to herself. She's still a villain at this point, or
Yeah.
classify herself as a villain. So to kind of just wonder herself, going like, okay, like what is being a hero? It's like all this, as someone who spent at this point like most of her life as a villain, seeing the perspective of a hero is a little bit like, okay, well, sometimes I just kind of don't get it with them. And like really they become like what makes a hero and that kind of such.
What makes a hero? The age-old question. Joseph Campbell, hero's journey. Maybe she's going on the redemption arc herself. Oh, here we go. Speaking of redemption stories, we've suddenly got horns. Tell us about this one, please.
That one is a scene a little bit later off that page, but it's basically one of those things where it's I guess you could say was definitely is shown that Gamora softened up a little bit of a person. It does still show that she is still a villain in her own ways. And like most people who go down bad path, it's not just because they can act a little bit nicer, doesn't mean that they still don't have bad traits and such.
Indeed. Very, very true. Right then,
It's like,
who's
even the most evil person have someone they care about.
true enough, true enough. Yeah, well, yes, maybe in the darkness of the mind, there's a glimmer of light in the heart. So even in the darkest darkness, there are glimmers of searing, intense bright light, because that's the chaos and order of our universe and our immortal souls. Now, your printer is, you've gone with Comics Wellspring?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a nice company. They help do fulfillment and other stuff. So I kind of just use them as it makes my job a lot easier.
So they help you with fulfillment. Have you exercised that option?
Yeah, I've done it the last 2 times. So unless I ever, find a printer that's the same thing but better, it's basically the one I'm gonna stick with.
Can you tell us for our future audience who will watch this while doing their housework and or trying to get sleep at night if they're like us? Could you tell us how Comics Wellspring do that fulfillment? Do they take a charge for it? Is it a little bit more than the printing charge? You've got your printing you pay for, and then do they take a packing and mailing out charge direct from the printers, or do they send you the books? How does it work, the fulfillment from Comics Wellspring?
I mean, it's kind of more so simple. I just make the order, pay for it, then send my artwork. I'll talk with someone who makes sure everything's formatted correctly, and then they'll let me know when it's printed, and then they start filling based off of the address and stuff I send them. So it's pretty streamlined. It's not complicated. They thankfully they help do like a lot of the leg room, so even like smaller stuff they don't like bite your head off over. It's like, okay, no, just do this, and we help get you over the other half of the way. So I always enjoy that.
Right, so they'll help you with your crowdfunding campaign and 10% off your printing costs. That's all very nice. 10% off anything, especially in today's prices, with inflation being what it is good going. And they've got a backup. They've got a good track record, an excellent one, you might say, of 300 successful campaigns printed in 2022. And they've got a Google rating, a G 5-star rating of 5 stars. So they must be doing something right. What do you think, Hero DarkyDark?
Oh yeah, I feel like this is definitely a company that was created with comic crowdfunding in mind, as they're real accommodating to the crowdfunding space. Yeah,
Mm.
that's basically how part of the advertisement is that they'll give you a deal if you make them your printer for like crowdfunding. It's not like super big. It's only like I think it was like 10% off the printing cost, but
Yeah.
hey, that's still pretty good, especially nowadays.
Well, if you're paying £1,000, then 10% of that is £100 saved. So you're down to 900. It makes a big difference, and that can go towards paying them the packing commission to send it to a customer. There are printers now offering direct fulfillment from the printer, so they'll send your book direct from the printer to your customer. So as you receive the orders, or they receive the orders, it goes direct out to your customer, which means you don't have to worry about the packing and the Gemini mailer box and stuff like that. It's for us, the in terms of our mindset, is how much noise is there between the creator and the customer? How many obstacles are there, in terms of creating the book, in terms of making a great book and making some great noise, spreading the word, building up your tribe, your distribution, your printing. The more obstacles you can remove from getting your idea into the reader's hands, the better. It's all about kind of making it as frictionless as possible. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course, if for anyone who ever been in crowdfunding, you know that there can be a lot of issues that can arrive, and some people are, I guess you could say, prepared to have that mindset to handle it, and others don't, and that and the ones you don't can often lead to a bunch of, I guess you could say, the issues or discourse we've seen around. I mean, of course, back when it first started, I don't blame a lot of the issues that happened, because like, okay, it's new, some people don't, didn't expect this, or didn't know that X or Y can be an interruption, stuff like that. So, back in the older times, when it first started, it's like, okay, yeah, you get stuff happens, or it's a new thing that can happen. Nowadays, I'm kind of a little bit less, what's what I'm looking for, tolerant or accepting of it, as it's kind of just like, okay, this isn't like with how the internet and social media is now. There's not too many excuses to why most, or not most, but why a lot of issues that can, affect the Kickstarter can't be, examined or find an issue, or like be accounted for ahead of time. It's kind of just like, okay, this this isn't new. This is, at this point, it should be like one of the most obvious, okay, first thing you look at when you do. Where it's like, okay, if you didn't know, or you just haven't found a way to uh adapt, or like there's a look I'm looking for. It's like either adapt or prepare for it. That's just a failing on you for not doing any amount of research on it. And it's kind of just like, okay, there's only so many times someone can burn their hand on fire before you go, okay, dude, you already know so many people burn their hand on fire. Why did you not account for fire being hot? If you get what I mean.
Well, we hear what you're saying. I mean, each time you get burnt, that's a sign that you need to learn from it, isn't it? I remember being very young and burning my hand on the iron, for ironing clothes. And our guiding star had left it on the floor, and we thought we'd touch it. And we were warned it was very hot. We touched it, and the flat of our hand was screaming, burning murder. It was absolutely hot. We felt like our hand had stuck to the iron. It was that hot. And I remember our guiding star saying to us, "Was it hot then?" And we said yes. And then a few weeks later, we did it again. We thought it couldn't have been that hot. And we absolutely screamed the place down again. And I remember our guiding star saying, "Why did you touch it twice? I've told you before that it's very burny." And we said we just wanted to check that it was that hot. And our guiding star said to us, "Well, was it?" And we said, "Yes." And she said, "Will you do it again?" And we said, "No." So you got to learn from your mistakes. We didn't touch any hot irons after that. We didn't go for the third test of heat. All we can say is we remember the iron was very hot. So we concur with your findings here, DarkyDark. If something burns you in terms of your experiences in comics, then learn from it. It's everything is a learning opportunity, isn't it? Right then, tell us about the merch. We saw this, thought we've got to include it in the presentation. Zeal's hoodie, $90. It looks very stylish. Tell us more.
So yeah, this one was kind of fun to do, as I looked around. Think I had a friend who I was doing something with, and he kind of helped. What's what I'm looking for? He kind of helped me find out. It was just like, oh yeah, with the crowdfunding you do, you can do merch, and it's one of those things. I was like, yeah, but like a lot of these merch stores, they'll uh I get to say, not only is it like, okay, that's a new thing I gotta, worry about and look out for, it's also just like, uh of course, a lot of these knickknack stores are just Chinese made goods, and it's like, okay, especially nowadays with tariffs, that's, it's like it was already kind of questionable knowing, how the stress shops can be, but now it's even worse. It's like, okay, so the malls you're training for cheaper goods is not even being cheap anymore. So like,
So you don't want the merch to be cheap, as in it really is cheap in terms of its quality, and then that could put customers off backing your merch in the future. You want to make sure it's of a specific standard that they can trust your merch as a quality item.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like, okay, the more much I do, it's like, okay, well, that's gonna affect how I do my fulfillment. As you know, now it's like, okay, so how do I do fulfillment? I just send them all uh to the printer, or you know what? Because now it's like, okay, now there's an extra step. It's become questionable, you know, when if they even allow that kind of such. So it's one of those things was always kind of like, okay, well, this is just more work than I would want. But then thankfully, you know, my friend told me a site was like, oh yeah, you know, you can do merch. You don't really have to do a lot of maintenance on it. It's just okay, yeah, you just do this, do that, and then you know, they'll do fulfillment for your merch for you. And I'm like, oh,
So
neat.
again, like comics Wellspring, it's almost becoming print on demand, where you can be left to get on with making sure the product is print ready. That's a quality product with a quality story, and it's print ready. You hand it over, fulfillment and distribution, to a degree, is handled by them.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things where I was like, okay, thankfully, oops, sorry about that.
All right.
Anyways, I accidentally pressed a button. But anyways, it was one of those things where like thankfully it's like, okay, yeah, I can so that the product will A be good, but B has a very reliable fulfillment time to it. Because as I always mentioned to people, I can be like a little bit lazy. So I like to make sure that everything is done and done correctly, like the first time ahead of time, so that I don't later have to, you know, fumble through like a giant mess because I didn't think through my fulfillment cycle.
I think what it's about is sometimes, it's like you've got so many hours in the day and so much energy. What are you going to spend it on? You've got all these ticks of things you've got to do to create your comic, yeah? The writing,
Yeah.
the art, the editing, yeah? Right art editing. Then, right, okay, I've got the master copy. Who am I going to print with, yeah? What's
Mhm.
my crowdfunding strategy going to be? How am I going to build up anticipation for that crowdfunder? Let's say I'm going with Kickstarter, fund my comic, Luke Stone, fund my comic, Indiegogo. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I pick a crowdfunder. Maybe I'll have all three. But how am I going to get? How many social media vehicles am I going to use to get the message out about it? One, two, five more. Yeah. And it's where
Mhm.
you focus your energy and how efficient can you be on each step. Yeah,
Mhm.
using print on demand, as you alluded to with Comics Wellspring and your merch, can give you more of that time back for you to spend energy on actually your core thing, which is the content.
Yeah, you know, that's kind of why I do it. And it's kind of like, you know, my interest is just making or doing making a book or writing a book and such. Yeah, so I kind of do what I can to make sure that I can prioritize that amount of time and not so much everything else. Even if it means that I gotta spend a little bit more money with, you know, setting this stuff up. It's like, yeah, I feel like that's a little bit more worth it. As for one, at the moment, anyways, doing this stuff is more of a hobby for me. So, you know, it's not like I am depending on every cent or such,
No.
you know, to stay alive. So I can, you know, afford to not make as much from make as much from every sale. But and also feel like it helps create a more reliable relationship between me and them. That's like, okay, well, now they always know that, hey, you buy my stuff, you're getting it in good quality and nothing else.
Got you.
You're like a very simple relationship. I make good stuff, you order good stuff, you get it, I make more of it.
Absolutely. So basically, you have a low gate of entry, a low bar of entry in terms of price. So that way, a few indie creators have gone this road of actually charging less to remove the barrier to people taking a chance, rolling the dice on your product. And that way, once they're in, they'll buy more. Yeah, perhaps of your merch. And perhaps it's spread, they'll be your walking, if they buy a hoodie or a t shirt from you. And we're surprised more indie comic creators who sometimes struggle with goals, not that you have. Uh, they don't sell t-shirts, they don't sell hoodies, they don't sell apparel. And we find this curious. You know what I mean? We'd be thinking, right, where's the posters, where's the merch, where's the hoodie, where's the t-shirts, where's even the statues. It's not just Todd McFarlane Toys that can do this now. The technology is starting to get there now, where you can create your own statues for your own IP. Yeah, so it's all about, for us, being, I think Steve Conley of Astounding Space Thrills once said, if your comic breaks even, your merch is your gravy and profit center. Just saying.
I'm just
Now tell us about the prints. We like that. If we were doing campaign, we'd be thinking badge, print, hoodies. Tell us about this merch. Got two lovely posters there.
Of course, I've already done 2 prior campaigns, so I can, I guess you could say, I can have some experience knowing, okay, what do people buy more often, what people have more interest in, so that I can create a more streamlined approach to why I do campaigns. Yeah, I used to do stickers for the first one, but then that one kind of, in a sense, barely. Yeah, that one wasn't the most popular and such. And so I kind of was like, okay, so it's kind of very obvious that, at least at the moment, outside of books, print, like some other much like the more popular stuff. So I kind of use that experience to create a more streamlined process when it comes to merch. Of course, there's a hoodie as that will be easier to do, and some people enjoy it. So it's like, okay, yeah, I can do a few merch like a hoodie or something, and then prints, and that still cover most of it. It's one of those things where, because like, okay, of course, because commissioning and getting the art for these merch and such, they cost some money and such. So I can't just always be doing it just to do it. I gotta be like, okay, am I actually gonna have at least some draw towards it, or is it just gonna be for nothing? So, of course, prints are pretty popular. So I was like, okay, yeah, prints are popular. I'll keep on doing prints.
Yeah, it's that tribal thing, isn't it? I mean, there's this thing about the 1,000 true fans here at DarkyDark. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I did.
And the first time we heard about it was when Jason Brubaker, who worked on Kung Fu Panda, I think it was 2. He was part of the production visualization team. He worked for DreamWorks. And I came across his How to Make Comics site, and he talked about this 1,000 true fans, where if you've got to build up to that, try and build up to that. If you get 1,000 people, then some will just maybe will be casual, maybe and buy your t-shirt, yeah, and there'll be a walking placard for you, a walking billboard. And others will be hardcore and they'll buy your comic and your t-shirt, yeah. And as you go up to the top of the pyramid, you'll get those mega Olympian true super fans that will actually buy everything you make. If it isn't nailed down, they'll buy it, like badge, maybe a coaster, maybe a mug, maybe a Wilma drink glass. It depends on where you want to take your merch, I guess. And it's about finding that core tribe, and you build it brick by brick. You're laying the foundation by turning up with a product and some merch, so at least you can get maybe the comics break even, make some extra profit from the merch. And then obviously every fan you get from your first 1, then 2, 5, 7, throwing some numbers out, 10, 25, 50, 75, 100. These are all bulkheads. If you can get 100 people buying a comic digitally at £10 each, what's that? $1,000 in your language, £1,000 in our language, in Blighty. So, when you start rolling the numbers and you start rolling the revenue streams, yeah, you've got to pay tax and you pay your artist if you're just a writer yourself. But it's all about rolling those dices to actually turn up at the conventions, meet your customers, satisfy your traditional customers, but also press the flesh with some new customers, and keep that quality. Keep producing a comic consistently. 1, 2, 3, maybe a 4th, maybe get up to number 6, like Dave Brinks of Genuine Comics, and then you can put out a trade paperback, which is you've already paid for all the artwork, it's that will be essentially gravy after you've taken away the print costs. What do you
Oh
think?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing about crowdfunding. That in a sense, you always gotta have a plan of how you're gonna effectively monetize it. You know, because I have a friend who I talk to about this stuff, and yeah, he does mention that. Yeah, you should just be the way he phrases it is like you should learn how to be effective selling the same thing over and over again.
That's what it.
As yeah, as I mentioned, it's like why in my campaigns, even though I'm on my third one for the third chapter, you can still buy the previous two chapters as like, hey, they're already made. It's like, yeah, you can only buy the generic cover for them, but that's still the cover.
Some
And
exclusives to the crowdfunder to keep the buzz exciting, and then but then you've got the generic main cover, which is always accessible for each successive crowdfunder.
yep. So yeah, and so even that put like a little bit more emphasis on why, hey, when the new one comes out, it's best to back that one. Don't wait till it's resellable for the next one, or else you may not be able to pick the cover you want. Which, hey, I'm fine with it either way. Just up to them. Just it gives people motivation to want to back each one. As you don't. Some people will instinctually not want to. What's the word I'm looking for? Not want to miss being able to have or not be able to. I'm trying to lose my thoughts here. It's basically just most people don't want to be able to uh miss out on things they might want, like posters and such. And it's like, and after then there's a campaign, at best you might be able to get some of this stuff only at conventions because I have a couple of extras and such. But you have to be at the exact same conventions I'm at, and who knows how that can line up. So I call it that kind of such. And then as you mentioned, once you get enough, you just put it together for a trade paperback, and that's basically just on the gravy as you already have the content. You just need to pay off the printing costs, which
Yeah.
theoretically should be a lot less than when you made them all. Since I know that a lot of companies, if you do stuff in bulk, are better, but regardless, it'll make things a lot easier. So it'll just be free money afterwards, and then as mentioned before, it's not like you can't just continue to sell that trade paperback again and again later on, as you continue doing other projects. As I'm currently doing another campaign for a uh new series I'm doing called Stonewall Riders. And in that campaign, you can
Well,
still get you can still get the books of Relentlessly Hero in that campaign so that
so you
newer
keep your
people.
campaigns linked from one to the other to make sure if somebody's missed out on the campaign, you've got that the door's slightly open for them to get access to it. If they think, oh gosh, I've just missed that. I was a week. The amount of campaigns we've been a week or two past, I thought, oh, crikey, wish we'd have been there for that cool comic, and it's gone. And there's no way of getting the comic.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about these stretch goals. This is interesting. It's called, we were curious about this. We've not seen anything like this before. Report for duty tier. Submit your own hero design, and you will appear in the after credits double spread of the book, drawn by the interior art style, along with a special thank you message. Tell us more.
So yes, that's one of those things where it was one of those things I did because I was kind of, I guess you could say, it's basically a way out to get more community engagement towards social series. As like a lot of things, a lot of people like to, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of people like to get engaged with series if you can. If you're ever younger, a lot of these different companies have submit your design for XYZ, you may appear in the book kind of thing. So kind of like that, where just like, okay, yeah, crowdfunding, make each crowdfunding, approach it this way. It's like, hey, yeah, if you want, you can, ooh, yeah, you can, select this tier, you can submit your design and appear in the after credits. Well, each time it does a double page spread at like the end of the book, and it has all the characters and such. And so that's kind of like it's a fun way to put like a special tier for every Kickstarter that's manageable and something that I can guarantee without overpromising, and it makes it special. As yeah, as you can tell, it's allowed people to literally have the characters appear in the series. So yeah, it's a fun little thing you can do to keep the community engaged. Kind of like what you mentioned before about the Faith for 1,000. Well, hey, just a slow gathering of people who really like the series being able to appeal and such.
So you're making it very select. You're making people feel they're part of it. There's an intimacy between you and your audience.
Yeah, because like a lot of things, it's gonna be I guess you could say a question or like a way for like, because of course you don't have to do it every time, but it's kind of like okay, well, yeah, if you really enjoy a series, I know when I was younger, I would do a lot of things if I can be able to like submit a design to like My Hero Academia just to appear for like a page and such as that's like, hey, that's that series I like, and I can buy that issue and then always show off to friends like, oh yeah, that thing I submitted guy in there. And so that'll be like a fun thing to do.
DC
That's
Comics.
like the ultimate bragging rights.
Well, it is the ultimate braggart rights. It's a way of indie comics separating their stuff from the big boys to be able to offer something a little bit more select, a little bit non-corporate, non-mass made. It's a little bit more customized. That's the strength of indie comics, isn't it? What you're doing right there.
Yeah. Because it's one of those things. Well, it's why I always tell people why I'm always thankful. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's nothing buying me from ever not doing what I feel like.
Yeah.
'Cause I know, like, for if I was doing, I guess you say corporate, I would be beholden to whatever they say, and that's not always a bad thing. It's just okay. Well, there'll be some things that I would like to do that I won't be able to do, and that'll just be a part of life and living.
Yeah.
But thankfully with stuff like this, it's make things I guess you could say easier to do it. So it's like, oh, okay, well, it's an easier way. It's a way I can convince more people to fund my series more. So why not? It's a win on all sides.
It's the win all sides. It's another avenue to let your customers be customers, to let their wallet decide how much they can take in terms of supporting you. Yeah. You're opening the door to let them be customers. Yeah. And it's a unique
Exactly.
way of doing it. It's high, for example, a custom piece of art, a page from the interior original art for sale, having you appear as a character in the story. These are all unique ways that indie comics can, shall I say, offer custom experiences, unique merch, 3 variant covers as opposed to 20 or 10, just 3 solid choices, and let them decide. You know what I mean? These are all revenue streams. They're all unique ways that we feel indie comics have taken the fight to the not so big two anymore. Right. Tell us about this creative team. We've kind of hinted at it before. This is a chance to tell us about the writer and creator, of course. A chance to blow one's trumpet a little bit, and the artist as well. And the lettering looks absolutely top notch as well. And give a shout out to the editor as well, of course. Go on here with
Mhm.
DarkyDark. Give it to us.
Oh well, I mean, surprisingly or not, this is a two-man team. It's just me and my artist, Josie Debu. We both
Wow.
kind of serve as, Josie serve as the artist, the main artist, the letterer and such, and I serve as the writer, editor, and just about everything else. We got this covers all avenue. So yeah, it's kind of like a it's I enjoy it. I know other people have suggested I at least should look for editor, and I have put some uh effort into looking as like, okay, yeah, despite all that, yeah, editor can help with I guess you can say flaws I may have for one reason or another. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'll look for that. But at the moment, just the two of us, and yeah, kind of enjoy it. It makes it a tight knit group so that it's small enough to where it's like, okay, well, it's a two-man team, it's a two-man story, and yeah, nothing else I can ask for but that.
Well, what we'd say is a bit like when we're talking to John from Heavyweight. He just got a three-man team: him, writer, creator, his artist, and his wife, who's not only the editor but also the accountant. Very handy to have your wife behind you, shoulder to shoulder, as your business lead, to help you with the accountant side of things, which some people might struggle with. A lot of artists, you hear it all the time: I want to just draw. Why do I have to do this selling thing? Why do I have to do the commerce thing? Why do I have to be an accountant as well? So with you only having a two-man team, that's great because you've got smaller costs. We call it a low gate team. Yeah, you haven't got 8 people to pay. It's not a 10-man team, is it?
Yeah, it helps make things a lot easier. Plus, it makes it a lot easier as to just say, instead of me having to jump back and forth talking to 8 different people, it just okay. I just talk to this guy, he responds to me, and that's about it. The only other people we really need to talk to are just stuff like, and that's mostly on my part. That's just me getting artists for like the variant covers and such. But outside of that, everything else is smooth sailing, and I have no complaints about that.
We can't fault your balance of commercial and art, commerce and art, commercial art. It's an old-fashioned term, but that balance of art and commerce, art and business, is very important. We have one document in our business plan. We have one creative document, and we have one business document: a creative plan and a business plan. And they are the yin and the yang of the one. And we feel it's very important to balance those. And if you don't like doing the numbers, save your receipts and take all the receipts for a given month and for all your months to an accountant at that one time of the year and let them deal with it. All you have to do is basically organize the receipts, from the printer bill, from the bank charges and so forth. Your fuel bill for turning up to a convention, claim that back if you can in terms of tax deductibles. All little things that I guess you learn by doing. Right then, will I like Relentlessly Bullied Hero DarkyDark? Who is it for?
I mean, you're a guy, so you're already like half of the.
Can girls,
half the
can
main audience.
ladies read it too, Hero DarkyDark?
Oh yeah, of course. Like surprisingly, now granted, it's kind of hard to get an accurate number as a lot of it is made online, and it's not like everyone just openly posting, "Hey, I'm reading this book." So while I'm assuming that most of my audience are guys, but when I'm at conventions and such, a good amount of my people who buy myself a convention are girls and such. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, girls are openly, easy, able to read the series and such. It's not get kept or anything. Just it's obviously more meant to appeal to guys, but girls, at least from what I know, haven't have a hard time getting into it anyways. As it's just a fun, generally speaking, just a fun superhero story, about a guy trapped in a bonding deal with a villain. And while it is story and acting and such, I guess you can say it's pretty open to be enjoyed by anyone.
Well, like
Anyone who's willing to give it a chance, I mean. But hey, if you like hero stuff, you like storytelling and such, then it's a good series you would enjoy.
Well, in that word enjoy, you've got one word: joy. And we like the fact that there is joy in that cover and that you can enjoy it. One of the things we like about Project Gnosis and Master Thayer is the way he always takes, when he's out on the convention, he takes photograph of his customers holding the merch, holding the comic, happy customers smiling. He does that at every convention he goes to. Customers, and they're getting, what they want, an image comic in the spirit of 1992. You are producing a comic in the spirit of manga from the homeland of manga, Japan, and you can tell it's just got that little bit extra in terms of the eyes. Yeah, it might be hybrid, a fusion, but you've still got that spirit you're aiming for of the eyes, the mouth, the hair, the eyebrows, the big hair, the sense of fun, the sense of adventure, of capturing the moment, all the things that manga has strengths in, the big visuals, but also the intimacy, the existential moment of time. Yeah, love it. Now, why do you create indie comics, Hero DarkyDark, and when did your journey with indie comics begin? Is it the creative freedom you like? What is it about them?
Well, I mean, it's what I meant before, where at some time you just get tired of not getting what you want from stories from the sources you usually do, and you just go, okay, well, I'll just do it myself. That's
Exactly. If
kind of
you
where
want
it
to doing
started as.
right, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you kind of get it. Well, a studio only have so, like, despite how frustrating it can be, you can understand it as, yeah, a studio can only do so much. So, like, okay, well, the indie space is there. I can, if I have that much of an issue, then let me put my money where my mouth is and start doing my best. And then that's kind of was like my philosophy as, yeah, there's nothing stopping me after all.
As our ex-gym buddy once said to us, Hero DarkyDark, he
I'm
said,
sorry,
he
can you
said, he
repeat that?
said, he said, Azrael, if you want to draw, no force on earth can stop you. And I said, but all this life stuff is in the way, and the job I had at the time, yeah. And the ex-gym buddy said to me again, Azrael, if you want to draw, no force on earth can stop you. And he prefaced it, he appended that with, look yourself in the mirror and you have to be honest with yourself. Now, what advice would you give to aspiring creators? A bit like my ex-gym buddy, telling me how it was. And he was right, he was right at least twice. So, what advice would you give to aspiring creators? Because more and more indie comics creators are parents. They've got young children, want to follow in their footsteps. Maybe they even want to be a creative family together. We listen, we learn, and we share wisdom on this show. And you're our resident expert here at DarkyDark and creative leader. One of our followers from X, who we appreciate, wanted you to come on this show. And you know what? What advice would you give to aspiring creators?
I would say there's two important things. Number one is, especially in this space, everyone will move at their own pace. And so don't think just because someone else is doing X doesn't mean you have to do it as well. And that goes on both sides. Just because someone says, oh, yeah, this is going to take like 3, 4 years to do, doesn't mean you can't find a way to do it quicker while still maintaining quality and such. It's like, okay, you just need to find your own method, your own standards, your own reasonable stuff to make it work for you. As for me, I do 50, 60 pages issues basically as manga, and that's because it works for me. I do manga. It allows me to tell the stories how I like in a way that I find satisfying. But for someone else, that could be different. They can only reasonably do like 30 pages or 20 pages. And it's like, okay, yeah, that works for you. You go and do it your way and see how that can work out for you for your situation. As you mentioned, yeah, some people got family and stuff like that. And it'll be ignorant to just say, well, just do this anyways, when that can always be an issue. I mean, that's the bonus of indie stuff is that you don't have to always comply with the same standards of the mainstream industry. Now, don't get me wrong, you should at least look at some standards of the industry to learn from and move from because,
Yeah.
I mean, because they did some of those things that the reason that they are an industry and that we are, you know, doing stuff inspired by them. At the same time, you don't have to follow it lock in footsteps. And that's why you can avoid some pitfalls that you fall into.
So you can make your own rules in indie comics. You don't have to have the same color palette. You don't have to write it like somebody else. You don't have to have the same page count of Team Red and Team Blue, the two big publishers. We know who they are. We don't have to do a 20-page comic. We can do a 28-page comic and offer extra value in terms of our indie comic. even though we might try and save costs by having it black and white interior, we might be noir fans, black and white movie fans, we want it black and white. But to compensate for that, for people who might find black and white turn off, we might offer extra pages, give them extra value in the storytelling medium of choice, noir. And so we would say that your instincts in terms of giving liquid gold advice, by the way, we completely agree with you. You can make your own rules. Like, take the movies. They're supposed to be on opposite sides of the fence, aren't they? Superman and Fantastic Four. Yet they both had the same color palette, teal and mustard. I mean, what was it during the Superman movie? Orange Jumper Day? Whereas we suspect, just by looking at your three variant covers, that you make your own rules when it comes to the color. We call it color narrative, but the color palette of the color narrative, that you've designed a different color palette to go with each of those three variant covers. What do you say, Hero DarkyDark? Making our own rules?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the people who decide what they want to buy are the customers, and if the customers like things this way, they're gonna buy either way. And that kind of lays back to my second piece of advice is, and this is ironically the most important, just start. As I feel like that's a lot of things a lot of creative or people who want to be creative have an issue with, that they have an issue starting because at times they always only want to think about the end game of it. And so they're always thinking about the printing and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's important stuff to do, but at the same time, you're never not gonna know what you need to know or need to do unless you actually start doing it. You know, it's like if you try to build a tree house, you're not gonna get anywhere if you don't at least start gathering wood, chopping down trees, you know, getting at least the bases done. You know, if you're not doing at least some of that, all you're doing is just theory crafting, and you can spend an eternity theory crafting. So it's like, yeah, you just be willing to begin, and that's gonna unironically help you so much in actually starting the project and finishing it.
Yeah. Sometimes in the Art Moots community, one thing we're hearing quite a lot is start it, then make it better.
Exactly.
Get the art done, then make it better. Yeah, we've got digital art. It's not like a piece of paper anymore. Or you're so worried about rubbing it out. You've got layers in digital art. You can morph the art. You can evolve the art. You can transmute it. You can transform it. We're living in the age of the infinite possibility. The only weak spot, in perhaps in many ways, is ourselves. And I'm pointing the finger at myself as I say that. Right, what superhero would you be, Hero DarkyDark?
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see, which would I be?
For us, it'd be
I
Linda Carter, or the Hulk, or Iron Man.
Yeah, I want to be a good superhero, as I don't want to. Like, I would say Spider-Man, but his life sucks so much. I'm like,
Yeah, it's good to identify with his sucky life and escape from your sucky, thinking my life can't be quite as bad as Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Yeah, especially after Gwen died, it was over, man. What's
yeah.
your favorite hero going to be then? If it's not going to be Spider-Man, which is a popular choice on our show.
I guess my choice, it'll be. Ooh, that's a good. Ooh, this is actually kind of hard. Uh, hmm. I guess it'll be Green Lantern. Yeah, something like Green Lantern or Daredevil. So it's like, okay, yeah, I can, yeah, I can be a crime fighters, but I'm not, knee deep in 5 different crime bosses shit list. Well, my family can't be alive because everyone want to kill them.
Well, you know what we like about Green Lantern? How he is, even without the ring, he is a hero. And when Abin Sur, the dying alien, came to Earth and crash landed, he chose out the ring, chose Hal for his heroic potential. So he had that heroic spirit. He's your quintessential hero's hero, you know? And he's our, along with Wonder Woman, he's our joint favorite, Team Blue, favorite superhero. So you and us have something in common there. We're Team Hal. Not so much Guy Gardner. We're thinking Batman One Punch. But we're Team Hal. Is Hal Jordan your favorite Green Lantern, or do you have a different one?
Uh, let's see. How's your yeah, I say just about. I wasn't really alive. Well, I won't say I wasn't alive, but Kyle Rayner, I haven't had too much of a connection with him. Yeah, as I mentioned, I was more watching TV shows when I was younger. So and those were always Hal. So I'm very much on the Hal side of things.
Yeah, Team Hal as well. We're right with you here at Darky Dark. Now, bonus questions. Don't worry, there aren't too many. You don't need the lawyer from The Simpsons, and you don't need a big glass window to jump through here at Darky Dark. We're actually trying to make our shows just a little bit shorter, just in terms of reducing the pain barrier and endurance test marathon for our guests, but equally so, for guys in particular, we like having ladies on the show. We've got a lady appearing on the show next week. We're looking forward to her appearing on the show. She's certainly the killer queen when it comes to promo. But we'll send out a banner ad for her appearance in a few days' time. What we like about having guys on the show is everybody talks about mental health, emotional health, and about how guys never speak. But isn't this Star Trek technology of streaming? And for creators who don't get out of the house that often, maybe don't go for walks as much, maybe should go to a gym more, maybe get a good burger, in the company of family and friends. What we like about having guys on the show is this is your chance, whether it's an hour, 2 hours. We even had one guest, 5.5 hours on the show. Best part of 5 hours, I think it was. It's a chance to talk, express themselves. You've been on this 9-year journey or 15-year journey for some people in terms of making an indie comic. Now's your chance to talk about it. Do you hear what we're saying?
Yeah.
And, a chance for guys to open up and actually say how they feel. I mean, most guys don't get a chance to speak to anybody, Right then, what are your plans for Relentlessly Bullied Hero going forward, sir?
For me, it's just gonna be. So far the series is my most popular one, and so far it's been having good reception so far. And so the only reasonable thing is to just keep on going forward until either I hit the reasonable end to the story that I have planned or something else happens.
So you've got your story arc for each book. Tell us about the books you have available now, sir, because obviously we wanted to focus on Relentless Bullied Hero, but we feel now is an appropriate time when we talk about forward planning that we notice you've got another book now on campaign. You can still get Relentlessly Bullied Hero. Tell us about your stable of books where it's 3, 4 or more.
Yeah, so far, of course, I only started out about 2 years ago, so my repertoire isn't the biggest, but just, Relentlessly Bullied 1, 2, and 3. And now adding to the bunch is Stormwell Riders, which is a more Jet Set Radio inspired book.
So you've got actually a trio. You've got a trinity of books, which is a nice manageable amount. 3 books then, yeah?
Yeah.
So we think that's a perfect amount of books to rotate. That's perfect because think about it in terms of building up your pre-follow base for your crowdfunder, your sign-up phase, yeah, and then
Yeah.
the actual live phase of the Kickstarter, and then the actual fulfillment stage. If you take that about 4 months, you can actually rotate 3 books once a year. So you could have your Soulfight, you could have your Relentless Bullied Hero, and then your Storm Riders. You can rotate them around 3 4-month campaigns. How does that sound? Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely good.
Yeah. Right, the next one. Favorite pizza hero, Darky Dark. Right now,
Well,
we could just put our face in any pizza. Right now we want to eat our hand. Don't worry, folks. That's not our drawing hand. It's actually our left hand. It's just the way the camera's mirror reflects. This is actually our drawing hand. It's quite safe, but this hand is in danger of being eaten. So, what would be your favorite pizza hero, Darky Dark?
well, I mean, I'm a classic kind of guy, so I always gotta go with the classic sausage.
Classic sausage. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Tell you what, when it comes to sausage, folks, we do like a Richmond sausage, an Irish sausage, it be, or a Cumberland sausage with a bit of herb in it. Sausage sandwich right now sounds good with some brown sauce on it, lashings, copious amounts of Irish salted butter. Sorry, folks, we were just away there with the old hamburger, sausage sandwich, and pizza. Obviously, we might be slightly hungry here at DarkyDark. It's probably going to be banana or Irish butter and toast with a drizzle of honey on top as a stopgap, and then we'll get to our salmon and organic spinach later. Sounds far too healthy, doesn't it? Anyway, moving swiftly on. Where can they find out more info about Relentlessly Bullied Hero, Storm Riders, so far, and your Trinity staple of books?
Well, I mean, for one, the Kickstarter page is probably your best bet at the current moment. I'm working on a website soon, but it's not up just yet. And outside those, just follow my social media where I update about it constantly.
That sounds good to us. I mean, hey, on X and on the crowdfunder, type in his name here, DarkyDark, and Relentlessly Bullied Hero. Find him, you will. Now then, I tell you what, we've got a viewer looking at us live. We see you, viewer. We're going to look through the green light of the iMac. Yes, we're watching you. We're establishing eye contact with you. Next time, don't be shy. Type a little comment in the chat window, and you never know. We might be able to answer your question. Maybe here at DarkyDark could answer your question. Maybe next time. You want to be on next week's show looking in, because we've got a nice promo female on who'll be able to school us in the way of promo. She's very impressive, and we'll reveal more about her in the coming days as we stick out put up a banner art ad for her on next week's show. Now, here at DarkyDark, we would like to thank you for being our special guest. We wish you well for Relentlessly Bullied Hero and for your Storm Riders. That is not it. Tis Crenshaw. Before we say finish our goodbye, tis Crenshaw. Crenshaw, you shy battle general, you. Tis I. Tis Crenshaw. Tis Crenshaw. Let me tell you what. So your wife looks after you, we hear, when it comes to plying you with food and drink. Little birdie told us that. The Saronic eye sees all on X. Tis Crenshaw. Hey, we don't pay attention to personal conversations on X. Of course we don't. We keep it all about strictly about the business. Tis I, and we say tis Crenshaw, who's actually going to be writing his own comic book once upon a time. Maybe he'll have to hire out an artist who can team up with him. You never know, Crenshaw. You know, it's up to you. You can make it happen. And in fact, there's another one actually we've issued an open invite to. And hey, Crenshaw, you know, when it's time for that book to do the rounds, you've got an open invite to appear on our show. Yeah, just saying. We gave out, just reminded Radio today on our X comments. We interact with people. It's something we've got to get better at in the community. And we just reminded her she's free to come on the show when she's finished writing her book and she wants to promote it and gets her artists all organized. And then there's quite a few people we're looking at to invite on the show, you know what I mean, with these open invites. Big or creators, big or small, we like to have people from the indie comics community on there, and we like to pay attention to the people who have the smaller followings as well as the people who have the larger followings. You know, that we think here at DarkyDark that 1 to 1,000 follower mark is where there's a lot of inertia, and there can be plenty of talented people there, but sometimes they just need a little Sisyphean push of that boulder to help them along, you know? So yes, we wish you well for Relentlessly Bullied Hero and Storm Riders and so far, your staple, your trinity of books. And we say to you here at DarkyDark, Godspeed. And please, folks, a like for the video, a comment if you can, and subscribe to this channel so we can shine. Every one, we call it the power of one, gives us a stronger light to shine a guiding light and give a gentle word to indie comic creators. Everyone counts. The more followers we have, the more we can shine a guiding light on the path to help give them that bit of publicity. Everyone counts. Every brick you put in that wall counts. You're building your audience bit by bit. We're all trying to build our audiences out. You know what they say? A rising tide lifts all boats. Give Hero DarkyDark a follow on X. Give us the 5 Pillars of Storytelling a follow on X as well. And here on our channels, here on our YouTube channel, everyone counts. Oh yes, Crenshaw. He says one day. That's indeed. That was we gave a sneak preview of our prototype, and I think that's what we said actually when we actually put that up at 4,500 followers, or creative leaders as we call them. We said these very words, Crenshaw. One day. And one day as night follows day, sir. We'll say thank you to the chat. Thank you to the chat. Bless you, Crenshaw. And the people who flitted in watching our show in and out. We can see how many viewers we've got, and they flicker on and out. People come in, just have a little nose in that. So tell you what, how about now we have some outro music. We'll add to the stage. Hero DarkyDark, like this. We'll add to the stage. Thank you,